I'm gonna try to piss you off. That's what the inner critic is gonna do.
I have to fight in my own head the whole imposter syndrome.
That's a great signal to pay attention and to engage the best of who we are.
Then the worst thing that could possibly happen is you get to the end of your life and you look back and you're like, I forgot to enjoy it. It's real. I got no makeup on today. I did my hair so far, but have a big magazine shoot coming up later today. So I thought, you know what, makeup's happening later. There's so many awesome people in the Growth Day community that are out there just hanging out with us in the morning. We're all in this together, right? We're all in this together. We're committing to like starting our day with growth, with positivity, with inspiration, with, you know, sharing stories behind the stories that you don't always see in social media headlines. And I just love what's happening with the Growth Day Morning Show, how this is evolving and how together we're kind of doing something new, because this hasn't really, you know, ever been done, where you bring together a community like you're doing with Growth Day, but then actually make it almost this daily practice to kick off our mornings together this way.
It's really so much fun. This community grow worldwide. I mean, when I think about the members of Growth Day already, over 40% of them are international. When we look at our email list and our Facebook page, our Facebook groups, we're still over 40% international on average, which is amazing because there's 2 million in the Facebook. There's, you know, tens of thousands of people who are joining us every single month for our main trainings on Growth Day. Y'all, this is worldwide. Our whole thing is, how do we bring an encouraging voice to you every day? Yeah. And so Jamie and I teamed up to do this, to be here for you, and just try to bring some encouragement in. We're also sharing some behind the scenes and what's going on in our lives, because just like all of you, we try to take care of our families. We try to achieve our dreams and our goals each week. We try to maintain our health and our balance, our well-being. We worry about life and finances and health and friends. And I mean, we're all trying to grow. And our belief in Growth Day is just, you know, every day is a good day to improve. Every day is a good day to focus. Every day is a good day to be the best of who you are, to apologize, to forgive, to release the pain and the hurt, to find who you really are, to share your voice for the first time, to do that first post. Every day is a good day to grow. And every day you see us in motion. Jamie, you got a magazine shoot today, you were saying. Tell us about what's going on over there.
Yeah, you know, it's the book, my first ever book, Believe It, is launching in just under 5 weeks. We're under 5 weeks away. So I feel like I'm going to blink and it's going to be here. And so it's probably the most vulnerable thing I've ever done, where I just literally pour everything I have and all the things I wish I knew. It would have saved me a million nights crying myself to sleep, and the whole journey of starting in my living room and facing rejection for 3 years straight, solid, and building at cosmetics. And so now the 5 week mark, all the press starts that it comes out when the book launches. So today is a magazine shoot all day long. And I'll share more soon. But, you know, I was thinking about this, and actually, you know, being MLK Day today, you know, this morning I was in hair, getting ready. I haven't done makeup yet, in hair, and I was watching Dr. Martin Luther King's speeches, some of them, right, which I've done my whole life. And I watched one this morning that's all about growing, actually. It's all about like keeping it moving. And he talked a lot about your life's blueprint. And he was using these words long before so many other people were using them, right? And he talked about your life's blueprint, about how no one else can tell you you're not worthy. And when I was thinking about this, his words, I was kind of having this big aha moment just to share with everyone in the Growth Day community this morning, in case you go through this too. But like, sometimes it's ourself that's the one telling ourselves we're not worthy. And on a
most
day,
of the time, probably.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time. And you're making up stories about other people thinking you're not worthy.
Yes.
So either you're telling yourself, oh, I'm not worthy, or you're thinking they don't think I'm worthy. And either way, it's a story that's probably, you know, making you feel worse than you really need to.
Exactly. And, you know, on this day, right, I have this big magazine shoot all day. They want 6 different looks, all these things. First of all, I have to fight in my own head the whole imposter syndrome, which is like, how is a girl like me, who is a waitress at Denny's, all these things, doing 6 looks? How do we even figure out what looks are? That's the first thing. Like fashion looks, right? You see me, I love some sweats. I love some comfy sweats, right? So I'm like, okay, 6 looks today.
Does 6 looks mean 6 outfits?
Mhm.
Or does that, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Because when I do
It's,
magazine shoots, they usually like, they show up with stuff and they put it on, I wander around and that's about it. I'm
and
really,
that's about it.
I'm really,
Maybe,
I'm the worst. I don't, I don't do press. I decided very early on, I didn't want to be in the PR land. So very rarely do I do press. And every time I do, I realize why I don't. It's so exhausting. I really admire people who can do days of press and they do it consistently. We take for granted. It's really exhausting. People are bossing you around all day. You're just kind of wondering when you get to sit down or get to eat.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a full schedule. Everyone wants to be famous or they want days of magazine shoots and all that. And then they do their first like PR junket in New York. And you do like 16 shows in a day. At the end, it's a privilege and a joy and it's fun. And at the same time, it's work. Like you had to get up, you got what, 5 o'clock today just to prepare and get hair and makeup and everything else getting ready?
Yeah, we had hair at 5, had to get up at 4 to shower, all this stuff. Got to. And here's the thing is like, what a blessing, what a gift that I get to spread the word about the book. Like that's what really drives me, right? But what I'm realizing, and Brendon listening to MLK's speech this morning, Dr. Martin Luther King's speech, talking about telling ourselves we're not worthy or having other people tell you you're not worthy, exactly what you said. This is a day that the old me, the me that for decades has done lots of different things, and I'm working still, as you know, I'm a lifetime student, still working to grow out of this. The old me for sure would have let my inner critic take over all day and just powered through, hoping like, does this outfit fit? Are they thinking I really should be in this shoot? Are they regretting doing a story on all those things we tell ourselves, right? It doesn't have to be a magazine shoot. It could just be hopping on Zoom for something at work, or, how many times, that we get an invite to a high school reunion. Brendon, I don't know if you'll relate to this, but you coach so many people that I think you'll understand this at such a deep level. We get an invite to a high school reunion or something like that. So many of us, the first thing we think of is, oh, when I show up, how much weight have I gained? How much, all these things, right? To the point where we don't even enjoy it.
Yes.
And I remember a quote. Will you remind us all, if you remember it? There's a quote you said, and I saved it because I look at it often, and it said something about, I'll paraphrase, and then maybe you'll remember it exactly, but you can accomplish all these things, and the worst thing that could possibly happen is you get to the end of your life and you look back and you're like, I forgot to enjoy it.
I forgot
right?
to enjoy it.
Yes,
That's the worst. Imagine looking in the mirror, you're 80, 90, 100 years old and you had longevity, but you look in the mirror and you just go, you never felt it. You never enjoyed it. You never took the time to be there. And I also think, coming back to your high school reunion idea or the magazine shoot, or all of you who are walking in to do, networking in a Zoom room, or when we come back to regular life and we're hanging out with people here again. I love this saying. It's not from me. I can't remember who said it, but I love it. Love it. There's 2 kinds of people in the world. One walks into the room and goes, "Here I am." And the other person walks in the room and goes, "Oh, there you are." And they're excited to see you. They're excited to acknowledge you, to validate you, to welcome you, to make sure that you feel at home.
Yeah.
And those are the people that we want to be in our lives. Those are that's being the role model, but it's also being, less ego driven. Instead of being so concerned, what do I look like? Who am I like? What's going on here? I've always, the way I got over myself, because everyone still knows and grow, I'm a dork. I love geeking out on personal development. I love books. I love to write. I'm more of even though I teach and I'm, millions and millions of hours of video by now, I generally mostly enjoy being alone, dorking out about my ideas, drawing up, creating ideas and charts and everything everywhere. And so when I go to talk with people, often I want to share that with them. And I have all these ideas. And I know there's lots of people, ideas. I just want to talk ideas. But the best thing I ever did to get over myself and be comfortable with other people is instead ask them about their ideas. Ask about if you walk into your high school networking, gym and you walk in, instead be like, hey, ask people, hey, how you doing? Hey, what do you think of all this?
Yeah.
One of my favorite questions, what do you think of all this? Oh, I love the punch bowl, or look at this, or hey, this is happening. I love that we're together. Hey, how you been? Just acknowledging and appreciating other people is such a lost art because we tend to have agendas, because we tend to want to project something. And here's the number one thing. Most people really believe the idea they only have 10 seconds to make a first impression, or they only have 30 seconds to say it right. And I'm like, nothing in life that matters is judged in 30 seconds. In other words, give yourself time to build a relationship. Give yourself time to enjoy that moment. It seems like, well, you have 7 minutes on that major show. I'm like, there's going to be 100 other shows in your future. Some shows you're going to do are an hour-long podcast. Some shows you're going to do are in person. And so I'm just here to say, enjoy it, but also make it about other people. Ask them, validate them, and you'll feel better.
Of course, when we talked about the other day about reading customer letters on QVC, right? It was a whole thing in the green room of putting into practice the idea that I think exactly to your point, it's like, oh, this isn't about me. It's about something so much bigger, right? And I think that's huge. And I was going to ask you actually, because I think this lifelong journey for so many people of overcoming our inner critic, right? And even going up to a whole new, transcending the whole new thing and going, oh, who's my inner champion? Can I wake that person up, right?
Yes.
Can I wake up my inner champion? And so many of us are like, oh, inner champion, maybe you haven't heard your inner champion ever, or in a long time. And so, Brendon, coaching millions of people like you have, I'm so fascinated to hear for you, like if you also, or I should say, because I think this is universal, I think this happens to everyone, but when you're in a moment where you're doing something and all of a sudden that inner critic, you hear that inner critic, right? How do you turn down the volume on that? What do you do to silence your inner critic, or handle your inner critic, or overcome your inner critic, and then swap it to your inner champion? Or what are your tools? Because I feel like no matter what we're doing in life, where we're at in life, what our situation is inside our own family, inside our jobs, inside our hopes and dreams, it's just it's the biggest obstacle, I think, for so many of us.
Yeah. I think one, you have to realize that replacing the inner critic in the moment is super hard. And so you have to think of everything you're doing is like, there's the pre-work, there's the actual in the moment flow work, and then there's the post work. The pre-work is, okay, before the inner critic is to start, you start your morning by tapping into your authentic self, meditating, feeling, thinking about who you are, what's important to you, your morning routine of intention setting, your morning routine of purpose statements, your morning routine of filling your head with good thoughts, your morning routine of acknowledging your strength to show up another day, your day of gratitude for appreciating that you have these opportunities. Meaning you got to start the day. The growth day starts with self-talk. And the self-talk, you have to condition the positive voice inside your inner champion. You have to amplify that, turn it up, and talk to it every morning and every day if you ever want that to be louder than the critic. What most people do is they bumble through the day. A doubt comes up. They hear it. They go, is that true? They start amplifying that thing because there's no other voices. Your job is to find your authentic voice, your acknowledging, aware, compassionate, loving self voice. Give that so much volume so many times that's just, that station's louder. That station is louder because you're on that station more. So now when the other one starts interfering and coming in, you can go, oh, what is it saying here? And it's almost always, the inner critic is really a doubtful voice. It's almost always a doubtful voice. I doubt my capability. I doubt who I am. I doubt I'm capable. I'm worthy. I doubt myself. And doubt doesn't mean stop or shut down. Doubt means, oh, this is a signal to be more present and intentional. Oh, this isn't to question myself and my capabilities. It's going, oh, hey, I don't know if I can do this. Let me pay attention. Doubt's a great signal to pay attention and to engage the best of who we are. It's like, oh, those butterflies, that's saying, oh, let's align here. Let's get focused here. Let's bring some attention to this. So first, don't think that voice will ever go away. It's going to be there. It's always going to pop up. But don't think it's a negative thing telling you you're terrible. It's saying pay attention. And then also up the station on that authentic, acknowledging, loving self-talk each day, the affirmative side of who you are. Listen to that so often and give yourself that blessing so often, because some of you, it's not going to be your spouse who's going to acknowledge you or validate you. So some of you, it's not going to be your parents or your sister, your brothers, or the people in your industry. They're all going to doubt you or judge you or push you. So you've got to affirm yourself. You've got to tap into that truth, that knowing, that beauty, that soul, that spirit, that authenticity that says, why I do deserve to have a good day today. I do have good intentions for today. Let me listen to that part of me more often. And that conditioning of positive, affirming self-talk starts becoming a part of real confidence, right? Conditioned self-talk becomes confident capability.
So good. You know, I'm looking at so many of your comments right now, and so many people are saying this is so timely. I needed to hear this right now, because, you know, one of the things I love about this is when we talk about even conditioning and starting our day that way with positive self-talk. I hope the Growth Day Morning Show is a big part of that, of just hearing that, you know, inspiration, like all of us coming together and growing. But, you know, one person also, this Sarah, just commented that, you know, the inner critic always comes back, right? And you're saying, yeah, it always comes back. And here's the thing is, I feel like our inner critic can get so loud. And I feel like so many of us know when we're hearing it, when we're hearing that inner critic, A, we would never say those things to another human being. And B, when we're saying them about ourselves, we kind of still know, in big part, we know they're not true, but but somehow we still, it's so easy to believe it. It's easy to know we're made for more. We're created for more. We have more to give, more to offer, more to serve, more inside of us than we're expressing or giving or living right now. And yet it's so easy to still doubt it anyways, right?
What if the inner critic was an inner guide? And the inner critic was just saying to you, hey, right now, you've got your station turned on to me, the inner critic, the low station, the self-doubt station.
Yeah.
And you, instead of going, oh, that critic's so scary, and let me find all the reasons to criticize me, it's like, oh, the inner critic is actually calling you to summon the better part of you. It's saying, hey, you're listening to the lowly insecurities right now. Let me amplify those insecurities so you're aware that you're listening to them, dummy. What you need to do right now is switch to the other station. I am guiding you with all this blaring noise to summon a higher part of you. Mm-hmm. The inner critic is summoning the higher part of you, not shutting you down. It's summoning you. It's not going to go away. There's always going to be that part of you going, hey, dummy, you're smarter, you're better. Hey, let me judge you just enough that you get edgy and you go, no, I'm better than this, and you show up. It's egging you on to show up better, not shut down. As soon as you get that, oh, I'm being egged on like a good friend. Because listen, the inner critic is you.
Yeah.
And that's a good friend to you saying, hey, I'm going to bug you just enough. I'm going to shame you just enough. I'm going to doubt you just enough until you finally go, F no, let's go. I'm going to try to piss you off. That's what the inner critic is going to do. They're there to amplify you to go, no, I am better than this. It is actually summoning strength. And if you can hear that, instead of being diminished, be called. When crisis doesn't diminish you, when conflict doesn't diminish you, when fear doesn't diminish you, but rather you sense it as a calling to rise to something, to a higher standard, to serve. This is why today we celebrate Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King had the same challenges so many people did. What he did was he said, I have a dream. I'm going to rise up. I'm going to learn to do all of these things that he didn't know how to do, to lead an incredible movement that we still celebrate today. You have to think about it, like, whoa, that's 60 years later. We're still celebrating this person. Why? Because all those calls, all those judgments, all that hate, he said, I'm not going to let the darkness shut me down, because it is only light and love that will lift us up. So I'm going to amplify those. You can hit me with all the hate you want, but I'm going to activate love. That's the change. When it's not a diminishment, but a calling to rise above it. That's a mindset shift that now helps us activate. I hope that helps everybody.
So good, you guys. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So many comments. So many comments.
I appreciate each of you. And thank you for cheering me and Jamie on in this Growth Day morning show. This is new for us too. We both had doubts. We had our first couple of days were technologically challenged on both sides. I still think I look so goofy with these white things hanging in my ear. I still got this camera taped up with this blue tape over here. Jamie's got hers. So we're still figuring it out, but we feel like, okay, so what? We're not doing it perfectly. We are called to serve. Stop worrying if you show up perfectly or you look perfect. Show up to serve. And enough times doing that, you're recognized.
So good what you said. And I always, one of the things I think about a lot is we all face opposition, right? Sometimes it is our inner critic, but we also all have a calling. And I think that so many times, I believe always your calling is stronger than your opposition. But so much of life comes down to which one we listen to. Yes. And you talk about, Dr. Martin Luther King, and I think obviously so much opposition, during his time, and obviously his calling was so much bigger, right? And that's what he listened to. And I think that, I don't know, I just keep going back to those words you shared earlier too, about walking into a room and instead of saying, here I am, saying, here you are, right? I think that's when we make it not about us and it's something so much bigger than us. For me, I think that's, in my journey, that's, how one of my best strategies for overcoming that inner critic, because for me, that inner critic is there every single day. Every single day. I even doubted, even though I've gone on national television thousands of times with no makeup. This is my first Growth Day morning show in no makeup. And I had a moment where I'm like, but it's like, oh, no. The only way to have authentic human connection is to fully show up as ourselves. The only way to serve is to not worry about stuff like that literally doesn't matter, right? And so it's kind of growth in progress, growth in process, I think, for so many of us, and some of the tips you shared on how you frame in your own mind that inner critic. I've never heard that before. That's so powerful. That's so powerful, as if it's the station summoning you to get so angry that you're like, F that, and you transcend it. Huge.
Yeah, it's your best friend egging you on saying, oh, it's like if your best friend was like, oh yeah, you suck. And you're like, hold it. It's just like if you ever saw people playing sports and you're playing basketball with someone, the crap talking is done to summon a higher level of game. They've actually measured this in communication studies in sports. Less crap talk tends to lead to less incredible performance. And it's not because we're not diminishing each other. We're egging each other on to play at a higher level. Now, I know there's lots of judgment about even that in sports, but I think my point is recognizing that all your inner fears aren't meant to shut you down. They're meant to help you pay attention. You were talking about resistance and all the resistance. And I hope everybody, by the way, spend some time today watching some, speeches from Dr. Martin Luther King. If you haven't read the autobiography, the official biographies, or any of his collected works of speeches, I can't even imagine this day for the last 23 years this year now. I read his speeches. I have a big book that my dad gave me that I just read his speeches. And it's so powerful to see what he was willing, and not just him, the entire Southern Christian Leadership Conference and so many other great leaders of that time, trying to really speak up for something. And he said, if our main question is, who were you serving? And he said that if we aren't willing to speak up for what is right, then we're not living life. And so many of his great quotes that everyone will share on the internet today, I'm sure, just remind us to stand for something. Even if you are scared, stand for something. You're not doing a magazine shoot today. You're standing for something today. You're standing for a message. Yeah. We aren't worried about our insecurities of, I'm like, is my kettlebell in the shot today? I hope not, and I don't even care. It's like we stand for something at Growth Day. We stand for the belief that you can grow, that you can change, that you can have better days, that you can shift your attitude. We stand for something. So we're not trying to make everything pretty. You're going to stand for something today. And everyone needs to realize, what do you stand for today? What is it that you stand for? And The less you ask yourself that, the more the insecurity voice just fills it in. Oh, you aren't intentional enough to stand for something? Let me just fill it in with some noise here.
Yeah.
That's what happens. I would say your negative self-talk is because you haven't filled in the void.
Yeah, so good.
You got to. I work on this. Look at this. I got this. I pulled this off the desk. This is a calendar of affirmations from Hay House. This is Louise Hay. I hope you all read "You Can Heal Your Life" from Louise Hay. Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer, who were like who really made and rounded out Hay House with Reed Tracy as CEO. It's a whole book of affirmations. I've been doing personal development for 20 years professionally. I still read my affirmations and I read them out loud because I want that voice to be activated. I would love for you all in your morning routine to read out your Bible verses or read out your favorite motivational quotes or read out that part of that spiritual text that you love. Read something out, like activate the voice. You've been given voice. You have the blessing of speaking. You've been given voice. Activate that in a positive, affirming way. And it becomes a language pattern in your head that's louder than the insecure, quiet things. You know what I mean?
So good, Brendon Burchard.
Thank you.
Impact millions and millions of lives all the time.
Hey, we're all doing our piece here. I'm excited to have this community. Jamie, I'm so happy to have you. What would you love to tell them? It's Monday. What should they do to prepare for a great week?
Oh, I love it. I just think starting that I would call it a challenge, because for a lot of us, it's a challenge of intentionally being your inner champion. That's going to be new for a lot of us. And some of us have done it here or there, but we get out of practice, right? And so I think, what we talked about earlier, starting your morning, even if you just focus on that one thing this week, all week, starting your morning on that new station, not the self-doubt station, not the inner critic station, but like switching the dial on that new station and being intentional about it, right? And I think that that's huge. I think that's big, because listen, we're all so busy. We all get out of practice with stuff, right? We all learn things and get fired up about them, but then we get out of practice. And I think the power of making that a practice, that's something that can fundamentally shift everything, including just enjoying the day, enjoying the experiences.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I love almost all personal development comes back to self-talk and intention and what do we stand for? What are our goals? This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.